Maddie, would you like to count us down?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. We have to do it fancier, like High School Musical. 5, 6, 7, 8.
We are ready to go.
I feel so warmed up.
Me too. We're going to have zero mispronunciations today.
Just zero. Hello and welcome to Outside the Search Bar, the podcast where we try to answer questions without using Google. I'm Jacob Schubach, and I'll turn it over to my sister / co-host.
Hi, everybody. I'm Emily. So each week, Jacob and I are going to come prepared with questions that we do not know the answers to. We each have notes on our phones that are filling up with an astounding number of questions, which is honestly just a testament to how little we actually know.
Of course, we would be remiss to not take listener questions. So if you have a tough question you'd like us to answer on the podcast, send us an email to searchbarpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on social at searchbarpodcast.
Now that that's over, I'm going to introduce our second guest ever, my friend, Maddie Snyder.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We are very happy to have you. Would you like to explain your life story?
Oh, yeah. So Emily and I are friends from college. We actually met like day one of college because hilariously, I love
a really good story.
So much. So basically, I was in line for the dining hall and a gigantic group of like, I want to say more than 10 people cut me in line.
Absolutely.
And then this lovely girl behind me went, "Did they just cut you?" And then Emily and I met.
I was like really upset because like I was peacefully walking up and like this crowd was probably right next to me. I see this one girl just like standing alone and they just like walk right in front of her and like they only cut her. They didn't cut anybody else.
Well, did they stop
behind her? No, they
did not care.
And we were just like, do you want to be angry about this together? And here we are still angry about this together.
Amazing. And the funniest part of that is that's how we met, even though we were on the same hallway in the same dorm. And
we also had the same freshman writing seminar class together.
Yeah, we also were in a class together, but no, none of that is how we met. We met because someone cut me in a dining hall.
So that was before or after? Like that was like orientation weekend?
It was literally
like the first meal.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Like your parents drop you off and leave and you're like, oh my God, I need to somehow survive.
That is really chaotic when they're just like, see ya. Just like, wait, whoa.
Wait a minute.
Awesome. So Maddie, one thing we like to ask all of our guest hosts is, what is something interesting that you searched for this week?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I had a semi-argument with Emily this week about her lack of having tried baked beans ever before in her life. As someone from Boston, I was very upset that she had never had baked beans. I had to tell her specifically what can to buy so that she could try hot dogs and baked beans, which is absolutely a thing. But because of that,
the look on Jacob's face right now is very indicative of the kind of household.
I don't think that's a thing.
It is a thing. It's a traditional Saturday night meal.
According to
traditional
Saturday night.
Literally,
like just you?
The like whole history of Boston. Boston's called Beantown. Tell me you know this.
I thought Chicago was Beantown. Don't they have the bean?
No, Chicago has the bean. Boston is Beantown though, because Boston made a lot of molasses. And like you might have heard of the Great Boston Molasses Flood.
I have.
Which is also hilarious.
I have.
It's hilarious, but I'm pretty sure people died, so it's also not hilarious.
Very sad.
There's a statute of limitations, though. It's funny after 100 years.
Funny. I mean, it was a molasses.
Has it been 100 years?
Probably.
I think so. But anyways, we make baked beans because when people were more like real about observing the Sabbath and not doing things on Sunday, you would cook beans in this like oven outside and then leave them there and they would still be warm the next day. So you could eat your warm beans in the morning and not have to like start a fire. So that's like the history of it. But Boston baked beans are like a specific variety. They're not like baked beans you get in England, which are tomato based. It's like brown sugar or molasses and bacon seasoning the beans.
That sounds actually really good. And I just
good.
I just visited Boston and no one told me about this.
They're really good. There's also a candy called Boston baked beans, and those are gross, so don't eat the candy.
Oh.
They're disgusting.
Good to know.
I don't know who tried to make
Is
a
it like
bean
an
into a
actual
candy.
bean?
It kind of tastes like a candy-coated dry bean. Like I do not appreciate them, so I
Fair.
couldn't describe it more than gross.
Good to know.
But yeah, all that to say, I Googled what type of beans are used to make baked beans and found out that the answer is navy beans, which is lovely. They're not pinto or black or any of the normal kinds that you would have heard of.
And they're not blue, is what.
And
we
they're not
learned.
blue. Navy is not just a color. It's also just something that a kind of bean is called for fun.
Like, is it based off of like the Navy, like the military branch?
You know,
We didn't get that deep into the article.
let me Google Navy beans naming convention. How about that?
Thank you.
That would be helpful. Because I could see it being like a very cheap bean that they could put onto a ship that would
ship.
last several months.
Oh my God. You're so smart, Jacob. Literally. Wow. Oh, it's
We
also
should
called
clip
Boston
that
bean.
soundbite and just play it over and over.
That could be your
so
new
smart,
intro, is
Jacob.
me saying, "You're so smart, Jacob." It literally
Thank you.
says, it literally says they're termed Navy beans because the U.S. Navy has served the beans as a staple to its sailors since the mid 1800s.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
Wow.
really long time. So
I
fun.
feel like I learned a lot because we've never eaten baked beans.
I ate them. I went to the grocery store that night and bought them and then made them the next day.
I mean, I've had baked
Franken
beans, but I haven't had that recipe.
She gave them a 7 out of 10 and said they were definitely better hot than like lukewarm, which I would agree with. But it's a classic. You should eat them. Bush's baked beans, the original kind.
Bush's baked beans.
It was pretty good. Like, I could see myself making that when I don't feel like putting an effort.
Right, which is exactly the kind of meal that I said was you always have hot dogs in the freezer and you always have a can of baked beans in the pantry, and that's a really easy throw something together filling meal.
Mm-hmm. Recipes with Maddie.
I'm just giving all your listeners so like it's suddenly a cooking show.
Let's rebrand, guys.
Let's just rebrand right here, right now.
Mhm.
Emily, would you like to take us into our first segment now that we've learned
Yeah.
about beans?
We love beans. So we'll be talking what is trending. So we have looked up the latest Google search trends from this week. So first up, we have Prince Charles / Queen Elizabeth apparently have COVID.
Yes. So when I looked this up, Prince Charles was trending because I guess he's going to succeed Queen Elizabeth if she passes away.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I thought Prince Charles was the one who did pass away.
No. So Prince Philip was her husband.
Okay.
Clearly,
So
you guys
Charles
don't
is-
watch The Crown.
No.
We do not.
You would know all the details. Yeah, Prince
Do they
Philip
use the
is
real
one who
names
died.
in The Crown?
Yeah. It's based on the real life story.
It'd be really funny if they didn't use the real names and they were like
Just call-
Jacob.
She's not Queen Elizabeth. She's Queen like Susan.
Marianne.
Like,
I don't know. Like,
I think that would be
couldn't
funny.
it turn into like a defamation sort of thing of like, why did my character do this?
I mean, they're historical figures. It's literally all stuff that was at least rumored to be true, like strongly rumored.
We love a strong rumor as the basis of
I
this
know.
isn't defamation.
We love historical characters who are still alive.
Yeah. Well, so Prince Charles is the one who's now married to Camilla and was married to Princess Diana.
Wait, so he's Harry and William's father?
Yes.
And then how are they
Okay.
related? The Queen is their grandmother.
Yes. So the Queen, Charles is her firstborn son.
Okay.
So, and he's in his 70s. So I think the reason everyone's freaking out is that if both of them died, I think then William becomes king. So, and there's all the drama with the younger members of the family, because of course there is, but
We love drama.
love drama. I hope she doesn't die from COVID. If the Queen died from COVID, that'd be very sad.
That
Like,
would be
That
very
would be
sad.
very sad,
When I heard that Betty White had passed, God rest her soul. We love her.
honestly.
I was happy to hear that she didn't die from COVID, because I was going to be really sad if someone who lived that long got took out by this global pandemic. So I would feel similarly bad if the Queen, who's lived so long and reigned so long, also died from COVID. Like that would be a bummer.
Yeah.
I agree. Best wishes to Prince Charles and Queen Elizabeth with speedy recovery.
From our podcast to your hearts. If you're listening today, best of
They're
luck.
tuning in at Buckingham Palace.
I'm sure.
I feel like they would be very into podcasts. Like, I don't think
Probably.
they're
Oh, I'm
into
sure.
TV. They love radio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So the second topic we have is Euphoria. I
Yes.
haven't watched it, but I can guesstimate on what's going on.
So this was trending yesterday in response to, I think, season 2, episode 7, which, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, is the first part of Lexi's play. Emily, would you like to guess what happened in Lexi's play on Euphoria?
Did someone forget their... No, this show's extra dramatic. It sounds like they forgot their lines. It's something way worse. Did someone get killed? Is there a death involved? Is there pregnancy involved?
Not a physical death, perhaps an emotional one. She basically wrote a play dragging her entire high school and somehow got it approved to produce. And it's like The Crown, where it's like very loosely based on people's real lives. And she did change the names. So instead of
Unlike
Maddie,
The Crown.
it's like instead of Maddie, it's like Mandy or something like that.
Okay.
Oh, really good.
Super obvious name changes. Gotcha.
And like the characters look like exactly the same as I think they're actually played by their stunt doubles, which is funny.
Oh, that's
that's
actually
kind
really
of
fun
fun.
from a
Yeah.
production standpoint.
So do the actual actors do the stunts in the play, in the show?
Not as far as I know, but I didn't really read the article that closely.
So this is really interesting. I also have not seen this show, but
You did.
it keeps
saw
coming up on my
TikToks about the
TikTok.
show.
Oh, okay.
This is why I know, even though I've never watched it, it's all over my For You page. And all I know, and this is what I was thinking, was that it was trending because it was super like hard to watch, like emotionally painful.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was talking about how Zendaya, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How she had to have like it took a month to film the episode because it was so hard to do.
Oh wow. Yeah, that was probably
Seems
episode
like
5.
a lot to put your actress.
Oh, maybe it was
through.
episode 5. Yeah, it was like, and Tom Holland, who I guess they're dating, but he like was on set to like be her emotional support the whole time. Like it
That's
was
sweet.
bad, apparently. It was like very, very hard. Like people kept I didn't know actually what happened in the episode. They were just saying like some of the best TV, but also really hard to watch, like really painful. And I was like, this is why I don't watch this show. I'm not interested in doing that to myself.
What they said is correct. It was very painful to watch, but it was
Mhm.
excellent acting. Like she's gonna win an Emmy for it, like hands down.
She deserves it, clearly, just from what I've heard.
I
expert
nothing
opinion.
at all.
Like I've heard that it's trending on Google.
Yeah, so she deserves it. Queen, we love her.
Lovely. Awesome. So that's the end of our first segment. And now we get into the real bread and butter, the difficult questions, the question and answer segment, where we each bring a question and try to solve it without using Google. Is it my turn to go first this week?
I think so.
My question is, what is juice concentrate and how do we make that? And I had this question because I was going out on Friday night and I was in a CVS pharmacy looking for chasers, and they only had juice concentrate and not 100% juice, which I prefer 100% juice because it tastes a little bit more fresh and not as sugary. I don't know. So I was really upset about it. And I was like, what even is juice concentrate? Because like the side of the cranberry juice bottle says 20% juice concentrate or 20% juice or something. I'm like, what is the concentrate? I don't get it.
So to clarify, you're talking about bottles of juice that aren't 100% juice and not like the cans of frozen juice concentrate that you could buy.
I was picturing the cans also.
Because I was
You can
picturing
buy
the
juice concentrate?
Oh my God, did you not live
It
in
comes
the
in like a
like
tin
early
can.
2000s? It comes in a tin can and you put it in the freezer and then you dump this weird like frozen orange juice chunk into a big pitcher and you pour water into it and your mom stirs it for a really long time.
It's
and
like
then
the same
Yeah,
kind of
no.
vibe as like those Minute Maid ice slushies that were like the weird triangle
yeah.
things like inverted.
but it makes
I
it
remember,
drink.
essence.
I remember when
Yeah.
our mother got us that, but I didn't know it was called juice concentrate.
Yeah. We used to have Welch's like grape juice concentrate that had Arthur characters on it.
Ooh.
I remember that vividly from my childhood.
Today was the last episode of Arthur.
I know, I'm so sad.
I did not watch it.
Neither
but
did I.
plan to.
I'll watch it.
You never watched Arthur ever, or you never watched?
The
No,
final
I didn't watch the last
Oh,
episode.
okay. I was like, how is that possible?
I still watch Arthur regularly. Not
Arthur is
regularly.
good.
Love this
It's
for
good
him.
for building character, even when you're age 27.
There is still lessons to be learned.
There's still character to be built.
I mean, clearly none of us learned about juice concentrate, so it didn't teach us
Clearly.
everything we needed to know.
I assume concentrate is like, I don't know, boiled down more. So
That's
it's like
what I was
more
about to say.
like sugary.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because I feel like they would have to, if they boiled it so then it's like less liquid for like the parts that make it taste like juice, and then they add water back in, it's not going to be like exactly the same as fresh
Right.
juice. But also, like, I think cooking it would make it taste different, because there's definitely apple juice from concentrate, but if you cook apples, that's how you make cider. So
Right. I was going to
I
say,
don't know.
Secretly alcoholic.
if you boil fruit, doesn't that make jam?
yeah, that
Obviously, it's a
too.
different state of matter, but like,
Right. So I think it's like between juice and jam.
Well, I think to make jam, you have to add a ton of sugar and you keep the like pulp in. So if it's like a
Yeah.
cranberry juice, there's no like,
pulp and thickness to it.
right. Like you can make a cranberry
jelly
jam and
doesn't
you would
have-
leave the stuff in. No, jelly is gelatin and juice. I don't know. I feel like it had to be like, I don't know if it's boiled, but is there a way to like evaporate it in a different way or something? Like,
Oh, because
I don't
they have evaporated milk. Maybe it's like the same thing, but with juice.
it's just dry powdered juice. Oh my God. I mean, what's
feel
lemonade
like-
mix if not powdered juice? But still, that whole concept feels weird. I don't know. I'm really
I feel
interested.
like
now.
I learned something about this in culinary, but it was like some sort of process of making like a super syrup where like you just keep like heating it up and boiling it down and heating it up and boiling it down. And like it makes it like super thick and concentrated. I feel like that was just like sugar. And I don't know what it was used for. And I don't feel confident on this either.
But like, first of all, why would you do that? Like, why would you ever be like, let's boil it and then cool it and then boil it and then cool it and like see what happens?
Because I think it makes it like more concentrated. So it's like extra, like I can add just like a drop of sugar, super syrup sugar stuff, as opposed to like keeping a vat of sugar water. on hand.
Oh, so it's
I
more.
think it makes it cheaper because concentrated juice are definitely cheaper than fresh
Mhm.
juice. And I feel like maybe if the flavor gets stronger when you boil it or distill it down, then maybe you can add back more water than original, and like something that would have made 2 bottles of normal 100% juice would make like 20 concentrate bottles, but they would taste similar in flavor amount. You know what I mean? Like a way to get
Right.
more flavor out of it, and therefore just add more water, which would make it cheaper to make.
But do we think if I bought the 100% juice, cranberry juice, boiled it, and then added more water, would I be able to make my own juice concentrate and therefore, I don't know, start my own cranberry juice business?
There is only one way to find out. I love that you're starting your business like, so this is actually made out of ocean spray, but I manipulated it a little bit. So it's like Jacob's cranberry juice now.
This is actually
No one
ocean
from
spray,
Ocean
but it's not.
Spray listen to
Sponsored
this, or
by
Jacob's gonna
Ocean
get
Spray.
sued.
If Ocean Spray is listening, I didn't steal your concentrate or whatever.
If they're
Also,
listening,
please
no, you're
sponsor
not.
us.
Interesting. So our best bet is boil it, and then
Yeah.
what?
And then
Boil it
Dilute it
like
again.
becomes thicker and like more potent, and then dilute it again with water to save money. The end goal is to profit.
Interesting.
because it's
Okay.
a business.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Let me Google what is juice concentrate. Okay, what? I spelled wrong. Juice concentrate. It's the third thing after you search what is juice.
What are the first two?
Well, the first two are what is juice.
The first one should just be what is juice, and whoever is Googling that, guys, I'm sorry. If you're able to type that sentence into a computer Google search, you are too old to ask what juice is.
Okay.
while we're sitting here asking what juice is.
No.
We don't know what it is. Okay. So this is from healthline.com, our source. And it says juice
Okay.
concentrate is fruit juice from which most of the water has been extracted. I don't.
Okay.
Okay, how it's
Extracted
made.
how?
To make juice concentrate, whole fruits are thoroughly washed, scrubbed, and crushed or blended to produce a pulp. Most of the water content is then extracted and evaporated. Because the fruit's natural flavor may become diluted as a result, many companies use additives like flavor packs, which are artificial compounds made from fruit byproducts. Some concentrates are also treated to remove harmful microbes, thereby enhancing shelf life.
Oh. I'm surprised it got diluted, like the flavor.
Yeah, me too. That's like the opposite of what we were all thinking.
When they say evaporated the water, like how are they evaporating the water? Like are they just...
I mean, evaporation means boiling, right?
Boiling.
Like boiling
Right?
is our word for evaporating water.
Well, then why are they saying evaporating if it's boiling? Like
I think they're trying to make it sound less easy than it is.
So you cannot take over the cranberry juice industry.
Yeah. They're specifically keeping it low profile so that people like Jacob don't know that they can make their own juice concentrate at home.
Okay, here's more. Powdered juice concentrates. So powdered juice concentrates are dehydrated by methods like spray and freeze drying to remove all of the water content and allows the products to take up less space. So basically they just like push all of the water out of this.
Is there a section on the frozen concentrate? Because that's really, I don't know. I mean,
I assume it's just the same, but frozen, right?
and before they add back water,
Yeah.
like it's got to be all the additives and stuff before they add back in the water. And it's just another way to save on space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It basically says, it doesn't say anything about the frozen, but it says that it's probably bad for you because they increase the amount of sugar that they put into it and it's lacking in fiber.
Interesting.
I'd like to watch a
don't
video about
feel
how they make juice
satisfied.
concentrate. And I probably will do that.
Honestly.
You need a how it's made about juice
I need a how it's
concentrate.
made specifically for juice concentrate. Interesting. So we were right in terms of us every time when we were wrong. It was right.
And we were right.
Pretty much.
We didn't get like the crushing because we thought it was already juice before, but they just were like, you push the fruit down.
Yeah, I was kind of starting
into a
the
pulp.
process as juice and then concentrating that. Like I didn't go through how to make juice.
Yeah.
So we were so good. Go team.
We were good,
We know.
even though we had that whole dilution / more flavor thing backwards, but it's fine.
Yeah.
The flavor was adjusted. That part was still correct.
That's true.
We did get that
It's still
right.
changed.
Partial credit.
Partial credit, baby.
This is why you show your work.
Emily, let's hear what your question is.
Cool. So my question is, why does cilantro taste bad to some people? And is it genetic? Because my mom hates it with a passion. I like it, and Jacob's indifferent to it. I would also like to point out that we do currently have a scientific experiment running right now because Maddie has a twin. Maddie absolutely hates it. And we are going to find out if her twin sister has the same feelings.
Yeah,
And it's like
I'm
an
sorry to
identical
report. No, we're fraternal. So really, it's not any more of an experiment than the fact that you two have different tastes.
It
Because
doesn't matter.
just as genetically related to her as you two are to each other. We just shared a womb, but she hasn't responded to me yet because she has, like an adult person job.
So do we.
And we love that for her. But yeah, I don't like it. And my dad doesn't like it either. But I'm just so fascinated that Jacob's indifferent to it because I feel like I've read before that cilantro is one of those absolute hate or absolute love kind of people. Like people kind of things.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard that too. And sometimes I'm just like, this tastes like a leaf. Like it tastes like any other like piece of lettuce or piece of like whatever.
Oh my God, but it
doesn't taste
doesn't.
like-
It has such a strong flavor.
It doesn't taste like aggressively good or like aggressively bad. I do like the cilantro rice from Chipotle. That I think is really
God
tasty.
knows if that's real cilantro or not.
Something to Google.
Yeah. Is that real cilantro? Yeah, I don't know because I've heard the thing is that people think cilantro tastes like soap, and I agree that it tastes like soap. It's doesn't taste like food. Like it tastes like something my body is telling me that's not food. Don't eat that. And it was really strong because for a long time as a kid, I thought I didn't like parsley either because I thought I just didn't like the little green garnish kind of thing. But it's specifically, I didn't like cilantro. And then I grew up and figured out those were different things. And parsley's fine.
So like, do we think it's a genetic thing? Like it's some biological thing that your body's just like, this is not food.
Wait, Emily, do you like it?
I do like it.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't taste like soap to you?
No.
Okay.
But like,
So
you have
I
like the
think-
visceral reaction, you have to like spit it out.
I hate it. Like I will chew it and swallow it because I'm an adult person who sometimes has to be polite in society. But I will pick it off of my food like every tiny little bit before eating because I
Wow.
don't like it. Does not taste good.
Is there any other food that you do that for?
No, I like really don't have any other food dislikes. I used to be a picky eater and now I'm really not, but cilantro is the one thing that I just really don't like at all.
Wow.
I think it must be a genetic thing. I don't know if it's like passed down. So to
Should we make
if it's genetics, it is, but
A pun and square.
a Punnett square. Wow. I think it is something to do with like, do you have the gene that has a sensor for this kind of chemical that's in cilantro? Is what I would think.
Oh, do we think that there's something similar that like actually is poisonous or harmful to people? And that's why the body is like, oh, I think I recognize this and that's why I hate it?
Should we try eating poison ivy to see?
Oh my God.
No.
I know a guy who inhaled poison ivy because he put it on a campfire by accident. He had poison ivy in his lungs. I can only imagine what eating poison ivy would be like.
Did it itch in his lungs?
Yes, he had to go to the hospital.
Well,
For
yeah,
some
I would
reason-
hope so.
For some reason, I was like, stomach acid beats poison ivy, but I guess
No.
not.
No.
Ooh,
Apparently not.
The more you know about your science experiments.
What did they? Let's not do
I
that
don't
then.
Yeah, we know
Yeah.
we figured that one out.
I feel like, I don't know, not a lot of things that are bad for us. Like some things that are bad for us taste bad, but most of that stuff is like more of a visual sensor to like not try it in the first place. Because lots of things that are poisonous to us taste good. Like they have to add a chemical to antifreeze to make it taste bad because antifreeze tastes really good apparently.
Oh. Sometimes I
Yeah.
like the way that gas smells at the gas station.
Oh my God, me too.
It smells really good. I wonder if it tastes good.
Gas?
Gasoline?
No, I don't know.
think so.
What temperature
don't
do you
think
think
so.
gas is?
Cold.
Like, do you think they cool it?
I think
Yeah.
it's cold.
I feel like they want it kind of like on the chillier side because like let's not put heat near gas.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And like it's underground, so that's already like cool.
Yeah.
I
Right.
would guess like 47 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, put a pin and we'll search it. I'm
Wow,
gonna guess
that's very accurate.
47 seems like a little cold, but I guess when you like in the cold, like in the north, it doesn't like steam.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And that makes me think that it doesn't matter what temperature it is. Because the only thing I know is like in the winter, you guys are from the north too. When it's getting really cold, you have to make sure your gas isn't low because it could freeze. But I don't think it matters. So I don't think they would like have the underground tanks be like insulated in any way. I feel like it can just be room temperature gas. You know what I mean?
I would guess that it's room temperature as well because like my car is sitting in Los Angeles in the heat right now. It's probably like 100 degrees or some stuff.
Yeah.
Probably not, but like it's probably really hot that it doesn't matter what temperature it is. But I'm going to guess that it comes out at 63 degrees Fahrenheit. I still want to guess.
64.
We're gonna price this right.
Yeah, I'm gonna price this right in.
Fair.
Fair, okay. What were we talking about? Oh, cilantro.
Cilantro.
As we do. I would assume that it's a genetic trait and like it's either you have it or you don't. But I don't know because I'm like in the middle. I'm just like, oh, whatever. It's another like another leaf. But I don't like
Definitely-
feta cheese. I don't like
Oh,
eating
I
that.
love feta cheese.
I like the way it tastes, but it doesn't sit well with me.
Well, okay,
But
that's
it doesn't
very
like you.
different thing.
I'm lactose intolerant to only feta cheese.
You have a love-hate relationship with feta.
Yes,
Fair.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that it's a receptor you have on your tongue that you either have or don't have.
And I do think it's for life that like you couldn't grow out of it or grow into it.
I think it's probably for life.
Yeah.
I mean, you do like your whole body replaces its cells, but I think it's probably something that like unless you like severely burnt your tongue or had it damaged in some other way, I feel like it would be a thing you have for life.
Because I feel like I didn't like broccoli as a child, but I like it now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel like
Honestly,
that's the thing
same.
is I think
How did taste buds
cilantro is
evolve?
I think cilantro is a specific thing. Like people talk about it because it's not a thing that's just a preference. Like I think most of our childhood dislikes are preferences. And then,
Mhm.
but then I think cilantro is a different thing. Like I think it's more exact.
It's like a genetic visceral reaction of like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Be interested to see if this is like a recessive trait. I would assume so if it's not getting like passed down directly.
Yeah.
But I also think
know.
I'm gonna guess it's related to something in the past that was like bad for us, and that's why people are like, no, thank you.
I'll be interested if we have information about that.
It'd be kind of
That'd be
funny if it
kinda
was like
cool.
cilantro is actually poisonous and some of you guys are just dumb and like it.
That would be
Fair.
funny. Okay, let's see what the internet has to say. Okay. For the cilantro haters for whom the plant tastes like soap, the issue is genetic. This is from Britannica.com.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Britannica.com.
These people have a variation in a group of olfactory receptor genes that allows them to strongly perceive the soapy flavored aldehydes in cilantro leaves.
The aldehyde.
So it is a soapy flavor. You guys just can't detect it. So I have a superior tongue.
But I can taste soap.
Basically, this website is saying it does taste bad, but only some people can tell.
Interesting. I can taste soap. Is aldehyde in soap?
I don't know. Let's find out. It did say that in regions that like regularly use cilantro in their food, it is less common to have the soapy thing. So it is clearly like genetic to some extent. Okay, is aldehyde in soap? Yeah, it is.
So why can I taste soap but not taste cilantro like that?
First of all, when did you last taste soap?
We knew
I'm
you not
concerned.
eating soap. I feel like you eat soap at least once a day.
Like, you know, like you don't rinse off your plate that great, or like you're washing your hair or
You're
something,
washing your
and like it
face?
just falls in
Literally
your
every time I wash my face.
Yeah, washing your face, I guess. My biggest pet peeve is when you don't rinse the soap out of your water bottle well enough, and then you like take one sip and you're like, God, now I have to go wash my water bottle again.
I always, whenever I'm cooking and like something's like bubbling too much, I'm just like, ooh, did I leave soap in this or something?
When your water boils too quickly,
Yeah,
then
I'm
you
just
have
like,
to think about it.
So, exciting development. There is some evidence that cilantrophobes can overcome their aversion with repeated exposure to the herb.
Oh my God, I'm not going through cilantro exposure therapy. No, thank you.
Maddie, you have to for science.
For science.
Listen, if you guys get a sponsor, I will do this experiment. This
You
is
heard it
my
here
way
first.
to lure in Ocean Spray. Ocean Spray, if you're listening, sponsor the pod, and I'll do this very scientific experiment.
Honestly, I think that
I
would
know
be
it has nothing to do with Ocean Spray and your products, but I'm here for you.
that would be a dream if they put me and Emily inside that like cranberry ocean field with those two farmers from their
I
commercials.
heard that there's actually a lot of
Massachusetts.
bugs in those things, though.
Okay, well, would you not do it for the commercial?
I would do it for the commercial.
Yeah, you have to go in a cranberry bog.
Ocean Spray, if you're listening, we will go in a cranberry bog for you.
Honestly. Yeah, no, I read a thing that like if you apply to be that person, like the first question is like, are you afraid of bugs? And if you're like, oh yeah, no, they're whatever, they're like, no, are you afraid of bugs? Because like you're the tallest thing there. So like they run and like climb up on you.
Yeah.
So
We agreed to
that
be in the
doesn't-
cranberry bog for 30 minutes.
I won't do it if you sponsor this podcast.
Awesome. Do you feel like you've learned the extent to which you were curious about your question, Emily, or is there something else?
I found something else that's interesting. The
Oh, and we also have to
seeds-
circle back to the gas. Don't forget the gas temperature.
Yes. The seeds of the cilantro plant is coriander.
Yeah. knew
Do you
that.
like coriander?
I couldn't tell you what's ever seasoned with coriander, to be honest with you, frankly.
Indian dishes,
I mean, I like
according to
Indian food.
clevelandclinic.org.
I think the thing is that that's mixed in with other things, and cilantro is almost never, I guess, like cilantro rice I could eat because there's other things. It's when it's like a leafy garnish and then you just get a whole mouthful of cilantro. That's too much cilantro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm sure coriander, maybe the seeds don't have the same amount of the aldehydes as the leaves do, or whatever, or it's just that it's less. It's not as big of a deal.
Fair.
Oh, they also suspect that the largest implication is the smell of cilantro, not so much the taste. Would you be willing to try it while plugging your nose?
Sure.
Okay.
My
We will
same
update you next
stipulation
week.
about ocean spray.
So Ocean Spray.
We
here
need a
first.
sponsor to dive on in.
Exposure therapy and eating of food with their nose plugged.
We will do live science experiments.
Oh,
We should do
live
that.
on air.
We should.
I mean, like our first episode was me doing an experiment of taking Viagra, so I don't know if I
What?
actually know about this.
That was a good question. It was a fair
It was a
question.
good question.
Period.
I feel pretty satisfied.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's see what temperature gas is.
yeah.
I said 63 Fahrenheit. Maddie said 64. Emily, you said 37?
47.
43.
47.
I said
I thought it
46.
was 43.
I wrote it down on this post-it note so I wouldn't forget. What
My memory is
temperature
not
does
great.
gas for the car come out?
I love your Google grammar.
Well, because I didn't want to say like what temperature does the gas, because then it's going to be like 212 degrees or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what I meant. Okay.
I'm gonna be shocked if
Datagenetics.com
there is an answer.
says it's better to fill your car with gas in the morning when the temperature is cold rather than the afternoon when it's warm. You get more gas
Because
that way.
Right, because
Maybe.
more gas will fit in your gas tank because it's going to be smaller when it's colder.
So it's not like you're getting more for your money. You're just filling more in your car.
No, you're just going to fit more in your car. Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's basically room temperature is what it looks like.
So it's room temperature. We love room temperature.
Yeah.
Room temp. There is no answer. They're like, what are you Googling that for?
According to Beasley.com, I don't know what that is, gasoline fuel will freeze at negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that doesn't seem right.
Well, it kind of does. I think that the car thing is something that like your parents tell you to make sure you keep gas in the car and they don't have to like take the car after you borrowed it to an empty tank.
Right. Oh, here's AutoZone. I trust that more than whatever that other website was. No offense,
Yeah.
guys, sponsor us. Oh, yeah, no. Give it a range between negative 40 and negative 200 degrees Fahrenheit, with most of it freezing at 100 degrees.
Okay, and then what temperature does it set on fire?
What temperature does gas set?
Your FBI agent is like, what?
Gasoline may ignite from a nearby spark, flame, or even static electricity and become a fireball with a temperature of 15,000 degrees. So that's how hot it burns.
I
Should we try and make a
don't feel like-
fireball?
The ignition
feel
temperature
like-
is about 495 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, it says E, and I don't know what that metric is.
That's not a temperature measurement.
What is the source?
ColumbusFire.net, but I tried to click on it and my computer was like, please don't click on this.
You
Okay.
accidentally stumble upon a website that gives potential arsonists like a computer virus.
Apparently. According to Quora.com,
Another
Quora.
very
a
good
petroleum
source.
engineer from 2016 said normal petrol will catch fire at a temperature of 250 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
Hot.
Hot, which is like
Fascinating.
500 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's not at an exact 2-to-1 ratio.
It's close enough. It's math.
9/5 is pretty close to like double.
But
Yeah.
it's not 9/5.
Plus 32.
You have to add the 32 before you do the multiplication and division.
I didn't know any of that. I didn't learn anything.
So for our listener question.
On to our next segment.
Our listener question is going to be from Maddie.
Yeah, she is a listener. We have a real life listener in the studio today.
Welcome.
Wow. Yeah, so
What can we answer for you?
Well, I was watching Netflix and there was a part that was clearly very badly green screened. Wish I could remember the show, but I can't. And it made me wonder why green screens are that particular shade of green. And like, what's the history of that? What's up with green screens? Why are they green?
I think they picked green because, and like that obscure color green, because it's such a weird color. Why are you guys laughing?
Just the way you so confidently said, I think. Like, okay, damn. Do you know? Yeah, no, the obscure green makes sense, but there's also like obscure purple or like obscure red.
Yeah, I feel like a purple would almost be more like I feel like there are just less purple things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it also might be the contrast though. Like my shoulder against lime green would be like really obvious, but like my shoulder against like a purple, like maybe not so much.
Oh yeah, maybe it has to do with like the saturation too. It's a highly saturated color, and so then there's contrast in that too.
But there are also blue screens.
Yeah, and those are more of like they're not as bright looking as green screens are, at least in my imagination.
I actually don't know what color a blue screen is.
It's like
it's not blue, like aqua. It's like kind of a dark blue. Yeah.
It's like a navy
color.
Yeah, actually, hilariously, just like that color.
Pretty much that's that color.
That was a great segment for your listeners.
If they watch on YouTube, they can see the color blue. Like and subscribe.
We can also post a picture of this blue dog bone that I picked up on our Instagram.
That's how you get the social hits.
The social hits. The hits. I know that Disney uses like LED screens now behind things in like The Mandalorian. So they don't even use green screens anymore. They create like an immersive environment almost within like an octagon type deal. Or I don't really know what it actually looks like, but it like actually makes it like so like the shadows and reflections on your skin are the same color as the environment that you're in. So that you don't have to like worry about all of the intricacies of like lighting as much.
That's really interesting. Does it look like the scene to the actor, or is it just like a lit up thing, but is it like the colors of the background? Like
it looks like the scene to the actor too. I think there's like a documentary about The Mandalorian because they did it for The Mandalorian on Disney Plus.
That's really cool.
That doesn't really help answer the green screen question. But there are advancements in technology for our entertainment viewing experiences.
We love it.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah, I think it's the contrast and like the clearly defined whatever.
I think contrast is probably more accurate than it just being a weird color, because green's not that weird of a color. I think it has to be that it's the contrast thing.
And I think you can technically green screen anything with any color. Like you can hold up like a red phone and like just change the like red in your like settings of like whatever editing software you're using. But like Emily said, like it's an obscure bright green.
Right. That makes sense. Follow-up question for us to look up. When do you think the green screen was invented?
Ooh.
When was the TV invented?
What?
I mean, was it TV because there's movies, right? Do we think we had green screen? Obviously, you have to have color to have green screen be a thing, I would suspect, right? You have to have digital editing to have green screen?
Yeah.
Do you?
Because if you're shooting in black and white, why would it have to be green?
So you can change the background to like a different black and white feature.
I honestly I'll admit it, I don't understand how they made things like Snow White, where it was just like they drew the animations and like spun it around a couple times. Doesn't make sense.
Draw a ton. I think it's going to be pretty recent. I mean, yeah. Like,
well, they
were going to say 1972.
They were using CGI in Star Wars, which in my head, Star Wars was like the 80s, maybe.
Yeah, but I feel like it's going to be a thing before it was like popularly used.
Right, but it's
For
CGI and green screen are different. I mean, obviously CGI
Are
is probably
they?
more advanced, but yeah, because CGI you have to like create a whole thing digitally, whereas green screen you could just put a different picture on the
That is
green screen.
true,
It doesn't
yes.
have to be moving.
Well, meteorologists
1972.
used to use it. Well, they still use it, but like meteorologists
What if
were
it was
probably like the first
invented
people
for
to use it.
weather?
It
That would
probably
be
could have
amazing.
been.
I'm gonna be
Okay,
really
so we
fast
need to
for
figure
that.
out how this works, when it works, and why it originated.
I'm gonna guess 1977.
Maddie,
No
what's your
real
final answer?
reason, but final answer.
I mean, I originally guessed in the 80s, but I think it's going to be longer ago than that. I feel like it might be in like the early 60s, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready to search the internet?
Yes.
Okay.
Should I
so we'll
search it, or
start
are you going to do that?
No, we do it for you because you're the guest.
Wow, I don't have to lift a finger.
We need to have
How
like
do green?
an intro music where it's like, get ready to surf the web. Cowabunga.
Okay. People also ask, why do green screens have to be green? The really short answer is that green screens are green because people are not green.
That's so good.
And with that, your question's answered.
Thank
Go
you.
home.
I'm honestly fine with that answer.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's really good reasoning that none of us thought of.
The background must use a color that isn't used elsewhere in the shot, and green is nothing like human skin tone.
That's fair.
Fair.
That's yeah. Fair.
Damn.
Okay. When was the green screen invented? Wow. The green screens were originally blue when chroma keying was first used in 1940 by Larry Butler on The Thief of Baghdad, which won him the Academy Award for special effects.
Good for him.
Wow.
That's
a lot earlier than I thought. That's really cool.
I think inventing green screen definitely warrants an Academy Award.
Yeah, especially for special effects. Like,
yeah,
seriously.
A pioneer, truly.
We had 3 questions, didn't we? What was the first use?
Oh, yeah. Or when did weather people use green screens?
When did weather people pick up on that?
Using green. The predictive is not showing up, so apparently a lot of people don't.
Clearly, we're having deep thoughts that not many other people think about.
Okay. Green screens were adopted in the early 1970s by both American and British TV networks. So we were like correct with our guesstimates of when they were used for weather.
Oh,
right. So if we go off of that scale, we were all correct about it.
I like that scale.
We love weather, meteorology.
Wow.
Amazing. Do you feel
I
as
feel
though
like I learned a lot.
You've learned enough from that question, Maddie?
Yeah. I mean, I really liked that short and sweet answer that truly got to the point.
People are not green.
People aren't green.
People do not be green.
Incredible. We love that.
I love it. Okay, so for quick question, are we not going to ask that question that's on the script? Because I do know the answer to one of those.
Oh, the second lesson.
Okay, which one do you know the answer to?
The time zone one.
Okay. So
we have a second listener question.
We have an encore request.
Amazing.
So this comes from my other podcast, Gay Court. My co-host Ryan asked this question, and he asked, how were time zones created? Like, who decided Australian was a day ahead of us? The world is round. How could they not be a day behind us? Which is a fair question, because I honestly don't understand like why we don't just have like one time as the world. Like, why don't we just be like, right now, like here in Los Angeles, it's 5 o'clock. On the East Coast, it's 8 o'clock. Why don't we just be like, it's 17 o'clock right now? And like your 17 o'clock, your 17 o'clock might be different than my 17 o'clock. But like, who cares?
I feel like on a global scale, that's difficult to work with, because like if I'm trying to schedule a meeting with someone in London and I'm like, oh, like let's do 9 a.m. here. They're like, cool, that's 3 p.m. for me. Like that's perfect. If it's just like 13 o'clock, then like I don't know what that
you
means,
have to think,
if it's late out.
Think longer ago. Time zones were created a long time ago.
Farming.
Carrots care that it's 4 p.m.
They were created so that roosters knew when to crow.
I
Wait,
don't know.
really?
No, I'm kidding.
Such conviction.
Okay, we have to think longer than like people calling each other across the Atlantic
Yeah.
Ocean.
Phones weren't a thing.
Exploring.
No.
They invented
Oh,
time
is
zones
it just
before
because
phones?
people were in different spots and they all came up with the concept of time
How do
individually?
people think about people
Okay, I
getting
was
from one
really
place
into
to
that.
another
Plane.
A ship.
before planes,
A ship.
before ships?
Walking.
Not before ships. I'm so sorry.
I'm like,
Not
ships have
before
been
ships.
around.
That's not what I meant to say.
Train.
It is trains. It's trains.
Trains.
It's when the way I've learned it, though I'm sure it could have been in Europe as well, but it's when the transcontinental railroad for the US, like when people started getting from really long distances and really quick amounts of time, they realized that to know when the trains were arriving at stations, they had to have a way of telling time further than just saying, oh, when it's sunset, because the sun set at different times. So that was the first time people really noticed that it was different. Like obviously they knew the world turned and all of that, but because of train travel, and that was by far the fastest way to travel at that time, they had to have a way of saying, we're going to leave, New York at this time. And then by the time we get to California, it's a different time than the time that passed. So it's about trains. I'm pretty sure it's about American trains, but I could be wrong and it could be Europe. And then the reason Australia are they behind us?
No, they're ahead of us.
They're ahead of us. So it all comes back to colonialism.
Damn.
It always does.
Yeah. So we realized we had to do different time zones. And then because the longitude starts at Greenwich, England, because
Okay.
white people, Greenwich, England is 0 in longitude. Greenwich Mean Time is 0 for the time zones for that same reason. So it starts 0, quote unquote, the day change is around then. I'm pretty sure. Or that's how they decided when the beginning was going to be.
So time was colonialized around the world because Europe wanted it to be them who started, or like we're at 0 longitude.
Longitude started that convention because white colonists, right? White explorers crossing the Atlantic, who were doing all of the navigation and charting the globe and everything. Those people from Europe decided that 0, meaning the starting point of the world, was going to be along the line that has Greenwich, England.
Who would have
And
thought?
then that's why that's 0, because the equator being 0 makes sense. Like there is a horizontal middle.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's warmest there. Like there's distinct differences between the equator and the poles. It makes sense to cut it that way. But then the vertical division could be anywhere, but it's in England because of colonialism. And
is that the prime meridian?
Yes, it's the prime meridian.
But the prime meridian only goes one way, so like there's nothing on the back half. It's like
no, they're half circles. Yeah.
Like the equator goes all the way around and the prime meridian goes all the way
So
around.
latitude is circles, but meridians, the vertical ones, longitude, are half circles.
Oh. So then does it skip somewhere in the middle? Like where does the day turn over?
No, it turns over on that line, right? So that's just like the one we decided is midnight of the first day, right? And then everything past it has already gone through that day.
Yeah, but like eventually you get your way around and like there's like,
right, and then it just goes again.
Today.
So are there 24 meridians or 24 time zones?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are 24 time zones.
How confident are you that there's 24 time zones?
Because there's 24 hours in the day, and each time zone adds an hour. There's 24 time zones.
Got it. I don't understand.
They might not line up exactly on the meridian now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm pretty sure England is all one time zone, but I don't actually know that for sure. But I think that's where the 0 is. I'm just saying the 0 point for time, it's not a real 0 point, right? Because no matter where that is, it's going to be 11:59 on one half of it and whatever, $12.59 on the other. And it's like not really going to matter that much.
Right. That makes sense.
But yeah.
So it's not farming.
Trains and colonialism.
It's going to be my answer to every question.
Okay,
moving
but then
forward.
what happened before that? Like, were people just
You just
Guessing.
didn't need time like that. You didn't need time in a
clock?
place so different from where you were. Because think about it. Like, if you were traveling across the ocean, that's days and days and days that you're traveling to get across time zones, right?
Mhm.
So by the time you get there, it doesn't matter what time it is in New York. It matters what time it is in London, where you are now. So it's because we could travel really quick with trains that we noticed that it was a significant difference. Because your normal everyday life before that, you'd just be in your town or the surrounding area, and it wouldn't matter.
you wouldn't
what
notice
time
the
it-
difference?
You wouldn't notice the difference. You would never be traveling far enough to notice a difference,
Interesting.
right? Because you have to travel a 24th of the globe's circumference to get into a different time zone.
That is
Math.
Like, that's a long way to go, especially in a quick enough time that you would notice it's different.
Wow.
That was a really solid answer.
It's very
Ryan, you're going to be so happy with this.
I'm like, do we even have to Google it, or like we just
No, I feel really
Okay,
confident. in what Maddie
I
just
hope
said.
I'm right. And if I'm not, I want your listeners to email you and correct me.
Okay.
we'll find out one day.
We'll find out if anyone
Tweet.
2
harasses
years
us.
from now, someone emails you and is like, hi.
This is
That
the
girl was
Queen of
wrong.
England. I have something to say.
Queen Elizabeth herself recovers from COVID just to correct me
She's
and
a
to
loyal.
declare that time zones aren't colonialist.
She is a loyal listener of this podcast.
Truly.
So now, do you have
Wow.
any final encores, or are we ready to wrap the show this time?
I think we're ready to wrap.
Beautiful. So that was the show. I think we did a good job, as always.
As always.
I enjoyed it, but if you all enjoyed it as well, you should be sure to follow us on social at Search Bar Podcast. And my handle is at I Got Schubach, IGOTSCHUPBACH, across all platforms.
You can follow me at eschubach. That's ESCHUPBACH. Again, feel free to send us any questions you have. Maybe we'll have a really good guest who actually knows what she's talking about, like Maddie, or you can just get Jacob and Mai's best guess. Also, feel free to leave us a review, sharing whatever you like, mainly just compliments because we're all fragile. And also feel free to ask a question in that review as well. Maddie, before we wrap up, do you want to share your social handles? Anything else you want people to know?
Well, we have breaking news in the penultimate minute of
Oh my
podcast.
God. Science experiment in real time.
I have an answer. My twin sister does indeed like cilantro.
What
does
does
this
this mean?
So that's all I have to say. You can follow me at Mad Bunny Moo on Instagram, but I never post.
Amazing.
We love that.
Thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Outside the Search Bar is a Perfectly Done Toast podcast production.